Welcome to the Lowell Planning Board, June 21st, 2010 meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Tonight we have a couple of matters on our agenda. One is a continued site plan amendment at St. Joseph's School. Another matter, we have two new businesses under Bridge Street and Nottingham Street. On the first matter is the St. Joseph High School. The board will review a request from the Coalition of a Better Acre to amend the originally approved site plan, requesting the addition of a chiller and concrete pad at the current transformer location. The transformer is proposed to be located to a landscape area located at the southern corner of the site, originally proposed to assist in stormwater management. This item was continued from our previous meeting on June 7th. Can we hear the case for the applicant, please?
Hi, good evening. Matt Waterman with Land Tech Consultants. We're here. Continued public hearing, and it was actually the last meeting that we kind of had some discussion was back on May 17th. And the board had raised some concerns about the addition of the proposed chiller, where previously it was proposed without any air conditioning in the building. It's a 22-unit low-income housing project, and the board had kind of requested or highlighted some issues, and we've gone back and addressed all of those issues. And I know that there was a handout that most of the members should have received in their packets, and I've also actually got a quick handout here that kind of addresses a couple last-minute issues. I would have gotten this to you earlier, but actually I was traveling for the past couple weeks, and I just got back on Saturday, so I apologize. Kind of the first couple things, and I was going to talk quickly about the information you received in your packet regarding placement of a different type of air conditioning unit, whether it's on the roof or in the attic, or wall-mounted units versus an outdoor chiller or condenser, as we're calling it. And we submitted two letters, one from the historic preservation consultant, Epsilon Associates, and a second one from the mechanical engineer for the project, Norian Siani. And the Epsilon letter, I think, summarizes the kind of the historic character of the building. And although the building's not in a historic district, it does qualify under the National Register of Historic Places, and there are certain rules, and the letter is self-explanatory for the rehabilitation of historic structures, and I think it basically, going into the attic, it would require 60 square feet and significant modifications to the roof and the hip roof. And the letter also talks about if you were to put it on the top of the roof, we'd need about 120 square foot deck and accessibility, which would significantly change the roof structure. And it would kind of disqualify them for their tax credits that they've been able to get to achieve this project, or the funding for this project. Secondly, the kind of the mechanical engineer, just from a construction standpoint, the mechanical engineer looked at it more of a, based on their experience and the modifications to either cut out and provide the venting or the louvres, or to construct the platform. It was just cost prohibitive. They didn't get into specific details, but I think the Epsilon letter better quantifies the challenges that we would have just from the national, the historic aspect of the building. And secondly, or thirdly, the kind of an important thing that we provided color photo of Decatur Ave, and it kind of got brushed over on our previous meeting. You know, just the kind of the character of Decatur Ave and how it's more of like an alley, and I think that picture kind of demonstrates where, you know, it's quite an open area there, and I think there's plenty of room, and in the picture, there's two dumpsters kind of in the middle center, and the dumpster on the right is about where the chiller is proposed, right at that second telephone pole. And you can see behind the chiller, there's a white truck parked in the picture, so, you know, it's kind of misleading that there's buildings beyond it, but they're still a good 60, 80, 100 feet beyond it. So I think the nearest building is the adjacent property that's owned by the Archdiocese that's in disrepair and is not being currently occupied. So the photo kind of does two things. It kind of gives just the character of that road and how it's kind of a dead end and it's more of an alleyway, and it's the backyards of all those buildings, but it also, to me, demonstrates how open it is there and the ability for that chiller. I think we won't be driving up the noise in that neighborhood. I think the chiller has plenty of room for the sound to escape up, and that was just a personal observation from that photo. A couple other points that I know there was some concern about snow removal. Jeff Fugate with the Coalition for a Better Acre is here. We discussed that at length. They are going to continue to manage that property. I wasn't sure of that at the last meeting, and so I wanted to be able to accurately address that. And they have property in the area, not only property, but a parking lot, and so they have the ability to remove snow, and they manage several properties in the city. So I know that there was very little green space, and kind of these utilities are starting to occupy a couple of the vital pieces. But they do have the ability to remove the snow off-site. There was also concern about accessibility, just from, I think, a practical standpoint with children in this area. And I think that they're going to have a tendency to go over there and want to play with this. So with my handout that I just added, we would enclose it with a fence. It's matching the existing or the proposed chain link fence, and having a little gate on Decatur Ave for access. So we would isolate the unit so that you couldn't get to it, physically get close to it. And then lastly, there was the plantings where we had Aaron's recommendations to incorporate the small island in between the Decatur Ave and the parking lot, where previously it was proposed as kind of pavement, and as the project developed, it was incorporated into tree filters, and so it ended up taking away the 93 square feet that we're losing with the condenser. We pick up about the same amount, maybe a little more, with the island, which is about 4 feet wide with curbing, so there'd be about 3 feet of mulch. The plantings we picked were cranberry cottoneasters, which was a planting that we worked with on another project in Lowell with the DPD, and that was one of the plantings that they had recommended for that, so we just mimicked that, you know, a hardy. It's almost similar to like a blueberry bush, a small shrub that's hardy. And lastly, I think that hopefully addresses all of the issues, and Jeff or myself are here to answer any more questions. But hopefully we've answered or addressed all of your concerns.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody here this evening want to speak on this proposal?
Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark Ullman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass. Let me begin first by stating that I'm on the board of the Coalition for a Better Acre. I'm speaking as an individual, and I am in favor of this project, and I urge the board to unanimously approve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. Anybody else like to speak on this project? Jeff, do you want to say anything about the snow removal or anything? Or?
I can answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak on this? Hearing none, I'll turn over any board comments at this point in time. Mr. Fischett, I'll start with you if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank you for going back and taking a look at least the concerns we had with the chiller system and whether or not we could put that on the rooftop and whether that was a viable option, and also the safety concerns relative to spotting it at that location. Clearly, we expressed some frustration with chipping away at the open space that was provided back there, but I think when you look at the overall benefit to the project and to those units, and again, asking you to take another look at whether or not there were other alternatives, I certainly, I think I could endorse what you're proposing here. And we are gaining that island in the middle. I'm somewhat familiar with the plantings. I suspect they're relatively hardy and survive the winter.
I'm not very familiar with them, but I have seen this type on plans that we've looked at in the past. I'm sure it was a recommendation from Diane Trad, who's the design planner. So, but we can certainly look at that with a little more detail if you like.
That would be my concern, just that we don't have something that the next season looks awful, and so obviously that the plantings would be the specific plantings, if that could be agreed upon with DPD.
Absolutely.
Yep. And just that I would add as a condition I would want to see is that where the CBA will be managing the site, that there would be removal of the snow if in fact it was called upon. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any further comments.
Mr. Claremont?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree. I'm certainly satisfied that the applicant has done their due diligence in searching for alternatives to place the chiller. Absent this spot, it looks like it's the only available spot. In terms of the snow removal, I know we lost a bit there, and as Mr. Fischett said, we'll look for some sort of a condition that the applicant will remove the snow if needed. And what we would also look to do is to make sure that all of the parking spaces that do remain are kept clear of snow. So often what happens is snow gets plowed and it's plowed into one or two spaces and we'll lose one or two. So I think it's important in this particular case with the minimal parking we have, if the snow has to be removed, that it is removed. But I'd certainly be in favor as well. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm not 100% sure, but when we approved the site before, I know we did raise the issue of the snow removal. Ma'am, do you know if we made that a condition last time? I don't recall it offhand. I know we spoke at it at length, and it might have been a conditional approval, I don't know, but.
I don't think it was made a condition.
No? Okay.
And I looked through my notes, and I couldn't find much.
Yeah, I know we spoke about it, and we talked about whether it would be an issue, and I know it came up the fact that if it was, they would remove it, and that's why at the last meeting, I mentioned it briefly, because I remember I thought it was, maybe it was just because we had discussion on it, but I like the fact how you did what you thought was the safest way to enclose the chiller. You put the fence around it, which I thought was nice. I believe you put the trees up before. You just had the proposed foliage. I don't know if you had 6 or if you added more. I'm not sure. I forget from last time we were here. But you obviously put the fence in. And that was an issue just for safety. I think obviously that makes it better for the site itself. Everybody concerned. Obviously the fact of looking where the air conditioning could go. Now we found out it can't go on the roof. It does make the units a lot more attractive having central air. I mean, sure, people love to have it tonight. We can even use it in here tonight, but we have fans instead. So, but I also agree with my colleagues that it's met a better proposal that you brought from last time, and I think this is a pure example when we raise some questions, you go back and look at it. As a result, you brought back a better plan for the landscaping, the safety of the chiller, and answered basically all the questions we had last time. So I give you credit for doing that and addressing those issues. So therefore, I'll also be in favor of the site plan amendment. Any board members have any further comment on that? Or want to entertain a motion if we could?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the site plan amendment as a minor change with the condition that the parking spaces that are shown on the plan be kept clear of snow to the point of removing the snow off-site if needed.
And can I just add, with the new amendments as the plan with the fence and as approved?
Yes,
Okay.
as shown on the plan.
So the new things that you added to the plan tonight as well,
Yes,
which is the fence and the way you close that in and, okay.
yep.
And the landscaping to the rear? All right.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. So that matter has been approved as amended. Do you have that? Okay, Aaron, for the motion with the approval?
Yep. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the update. Yeah, I'll just give him a second. Let him put up to get back there. If you could just head back to the mic, I appreciate it. Thank you. If you could stand right there, I just have a couple questions to address you before we get started, okay? So if you could just go to the podium, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Our next matter is site plan amendment at 1141 Bridge Street. The board will review a request to change a previously approved site plan, including alterations to the facade of the building that faces Bridge Street, and relocation from the pedestrian entrance from Bridge Street to the parking lot. The proposal changes stems from the applicant raising the building elevation, altering the grade change from Bridge Street to the pedestrian entrance. This is a 16,826 square foot lot and is located in the traditional mixed-use zone. The question I have for you, Jim, is you need a site plan approval to be amended. I've been informed by Mr. Claremont that he has to abstain from the matter, so he can't vote on it this evening. Therefore, it only leaves 2 board members left. If I open the public hearing up, and if we do continue it, under our rules and regulations, the other 2 board members, when they come on board, can't vote on it either.
So I'm in a catch-22 situation.
Yeah, so that's why I want to propose that to you before we open up the whole public hearing, whether, what happened was we tried to adopt a rule that we looked at before, what other cities and towns does. If the previous board members went over the minutes, watched the tape, and listened to everything else, then they could sign a piece of paper and update themselves. That's a change that we've requested to go through the council and as yet has not happened. So at this point tonight, if you want to go forward, you have 2 people here, and if we continue it, then you're only stuck with 2 either way. So procedurally, I want to give you the benefit of doubt whether you want to open the public hearing or request a continuance. If you want to think that over, I'll give you more time
It's
too.
a slight confusion, yeah.
And I apologize for the absence of the other board members.
Right, obviously, I want to do what's best in my client's interest, and, all right, what are my options again, make sure that I
You can
get this
either-
straight?
Okay, one, you can either
if I
present it
continue-
tonight, and you have 2 board members to vote on it.
Right, which we don't want that, because I can't get a quorum.
Well,
2 votes.
technically, you may, if we both voted yes, I think you have the majority of the quorum that's present. But if one of us disagrees with you, you lose.
Okay,
Option B, you ask for continuance, and we have it before a board when we have a full board with 5 parties and all 4 people would be present. So even if you started the presentation tonight, and either myself or Mr. Fischett ask questions and say we come up with continuing the matter, the other 2 board members would not be able to participate in the next meeting anyway, since they weren't present at the start of the public hearing.
all right, so
So they wouldn't help you.
if feels like my best option would be ask for a continuance, and
Totally up to you. I mean, if you want continuance,
therefore we don't,
I would have no problem giving you continuance due to the fact that we're short board members, and I think it's fair to you. I'm not sure what Mr. Fischette would
Right.
do, but,
therefore we
and
have
if
four board
I make a
members.
motion, he denies it, and he doesn't, then I only know if the motion carries, so I mean, one-on-one, I guess, you come down to.
Right. Okay, and that would be continued to what date?
Our next meeting will come in, would be here on, I think it's July 19th.
July 19th? Okay, I'll confirm with my clients,
Sure,
which are
take your
here.
time.
But this doesn't affect anything structurally. They can still go forward building this. There's just been a couple of things that could easily be altered one way or the other.
Yeah,
So
so I
this
mean,
doesn't affect,
you do have a approved site plan,
yes,
so as long as you stay on course with the site plan.
Right.
And if what you're requesting to be altered, one, we don't feel is a material change, because then if we feel it's a material change, then we have to go back and do a site plan review all over again.
right,
If we feel it's a minor change, then we could address the minor change and then vote one way or another on the amendment.
okay,
So, I mean, but if you have a building permit now and you're proceeding by way of the plan that's approved, then that would not slow you up. So I don't know what might affect where you're going. If it's a slight change, you can continue to go on what you have and whether modify what you're requesting us to do at a future date or not.
right. Okay, so do you understand? No? Okay.
Do you want a few minutes to confer with him? That's fine. Yeah. Because it might be interesting, how we can change it. You know what I mean? Because if one of us disagrees, or we both disagree, whatever, Sure.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we prefer to just continue, therefore, the next hearing will have 4 out of the 5 that can vote on it. That way, we feel better to go that way, even knowing that we can still build and
Yeah,
continue, and those changes can or cannot take place.
All right, so at this point in time, would you like to make a motion to continue?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue this matter until the July 19th meeting.
I would second that motion. So therefore, the motion carries 2 in favor, 1 abstaining, none against.
All right, thank you.
Sorry about that. I
No
apologize.
problem.
Okay. Moving along, the next matter would be 21 Nottingham Street.
There we go.
Can you start again, please? Thank you.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Katie Enright. I'm an engineer with Hancock Associates. I'm here tonight on behalf of L.A. Rookie Associates, LLC, and the property owner at 21 Nottingham Street, Nottingham Partners, LLC, with the approval not required subdivision for an 11-lot subdivision at 21 Nottingham Street. The requirements for zoning in this district are 25 feet of frontage and an FAR of 2. There are no other requirements required by the light industry, the LI district in the city of Lowell. I believe you have the plan in front of you. I did drop off a plan and speak to Lisa DeMayo, the city engineer, and also I spoke briefly to Adam Bakey and also to Aaron Clausen regarding this plan, and have not received any comments besides to refer to this board.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask what you might plan to put on these lots when they're subdivided in the A&R?
I'm actually not at liberty to say tonight.
Well, okay, then let me ask the next question. If you decide to put something on that lot, is that going to trigger review back before us?
I don't believe so. But we will be meeting with the city planner and the associate city planner. We'll be making an appointment to meet with them, hopefully this week, to discuss our concepts that we are looking to.
Because, you know,
To move
obviously when we
forward with.
saw it and look at the size of the lot, it kind of limits what you can put in there by the size.
Absolutely.
So obviously, when we're looking at it, obviously, at least I started wondering, I mean, the size of the lots, what's allowed in the light industrial. I see where residential is not allowed,
Absolutely.
so just,
We would definitely need to be before City of Lowell boards, and we're looking to basically figure through the permitting path within the Planning and Development Department
okay.
after the A&R moves forward.
So either way, I'm just guessing, not knowing which way it's going to come forward, either end up before the planning board or the zoning board of appeals, I'd guess.
Yes, sir.
Because when it comes to development, it's either one or the other, unless you're looking for a zoning change, which doesn't appear to be, and that would be the council, which would come before us for recommendation first anyways, so, okay.
Yes.
Any of the board members have any questions?
Aaron, it's been a while since we looked at an A&R plan, so maybe you could help to, refresh our memories in this process, because generally they're approved administratively through the office. But through the process, I think we're required to approve an A&R plan if it has the frontage on the public way, which it does, but it has to meet the minimum frontage requirements as defined in the zoning ordinance. Would we not then have to know what's going on there to determine what the minimum frontage requirements in the ordinance may be?
If the zoning ordinance had a graduated frontage requirement for different size of projects, in that case maybe, but since the minimum requirement in the light industrial is 25 feet, as long as the lots that are being created are 25 feet along the public way, it meets
So as long as it meets a minimum for whatever's going to be built there, and it's possible it could be approved as an A&R, but they may go to the zoning board of appeals for a variance for frontage or something like that.
Correct.
That'd be up to them. Okay.
Aaron, would this ever come back before us somehow for even a subdivision consideration in the future then? Depending on what they decide to put in?
Yeah, the approval not required process, basically, by endorsing a subdivision plan, either the board or myself, typically, as you know, either me or Adam Bakey will sign or endorse a plan administratively. But by endorsing that plan, you're basically stating that the subdivision does not require definitive subdivision under the Massachusetts subdivision control law. So it's basically saying it doesn't require that kind of review. And the Mass General laws actually restrict cities, planning boards quite a bit on what they can do, what they can say no to, and an approval not required. As long as it meets those three kind of requirements in terms of fronting on a public way, having minimum frontage as defined in the zoning code, and adequate access, so that basically the road has to be drivable, passable. If it meets those three criteria, it's entitled to the endorsement. That doesn't mean that endorsing the A&R subdivision plan in any way endorses the zoning elements of it. It doesn't mean that the planning board or administratively would we sign them that even though that this is being divided into 11 lots and there's an existing building on it, and clearly if it's subdivided with that building on it, it doesn't meet the zoning requirement in terms of lot coverage, FAR, and so on. If they were to sell a lot, that's not determined through the subdivision process. That would then go through the Inspectional Services Department.
All right, so from what I can see, it looks like this plan is entitled to the A&R endorsement, so.
Yeah. Looking at it, when I first looked at it, this is a lot more complex relative to what we see. I mean, most A&R subdivisions that come in, proposals that come in, are to create one new parcel. Sometimes it's not even a building lot. It's a swap of land from one property owner to the other who've used land in such a way over a number of years that they just decide to swap it. It's relatively straightforward. This one, just for the fact that it had 11 parcels, all with frontage, all of them building lots with an existing building, felt it was worthwhile to bring for the planning board to look at. But looking at it over the last couple of days, it seems pretty clear that it is entitled to an endorsement. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to begin a discussion of what this could be. It's a little hard to tell. We can make guesses on what the end result would be and whether or not it will need planning board review, either through site plan review for parking or whatever. We won't know until.
And just, Aaron, looking at the table of uses, it looks like all of the special permits under this zone go to the zoning board of appeals. So that any kind of special permit required would not come before the planning board, but the ZBA, yeah.
But it would, if it went before ZBA, it'd come before us for recommendation first, either way, okay? Only question I have, so it's, all the lots are in same ownership?
Yes, they are. Well, it's currently one lot, so the lot is in one ownership, yes.
So it's the one lot that'll be divided up into the 11 lots, so it's, okay. All right. Any board members have any further questions? Have none, so,
If I could just point out one thing to it, I know we're, without trying to guess too much what's going on, part of the reorganization, I just want to mention, part of the reorganization is that there will be staff that's supporting the Zoning Board of Appeals, similar to the Planning Board that gets, I was going to say enjoys, but I don't know if maybe that's the right term. But I either myself or another planning associate will be supporting the Zoning Board of Appeals. So there is perhaps a greater opportunity to review projects and have a little bit more insight as they're moving through from your perspective, because we'll have better communication back and forth than we have historically. So if it's just if it's a special permit review through the Zoning Board of Appeals, going forward, there should be the opportunity for at least a better communication in terms of finding what's going on.
And that's to the point that the chairman mentioned, that everything that goes before the zoning board of appeals comes before this board for recommendation.
Right.
There should be a better coordination as well, as far as what our concerns would
Correct.
be.
Right.
As far as
So whatever recommendation that you make to the Zoning Board of Appeals is better conveyed through either me or Joe or whoever else, because one of us will be at that Zoning Board of Appeals. So that there's just better continuity between the boards, I think.
Yeah.
any further question by any of the board members? No. So I believe by statute, it does create the approval not required. So I think they're entitled.
If we need it as a motion, Mr. Chairman, I'd make the motion that we endorse the plan as approval not required, as it appears to meet all the appropriate criteria.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes.
Okay.
Like the approval has been approved.
Thank you very
Anybody
much.
who's interested in this, basically, this is a procedure that's just done and governed by the Mass General laws. If they have the frontage and they want a public way, they're entitled to the plan. If they want to develop anything and come back in the future, there's a good indication that it will come before either this board or another board. So any of the neighbors or the people who are here tonight are concerned about it, chances are we will be seeing the site again somehow. All right, thank you. Good luck. Moving along with the agenda, excuse me. I know we all received copies of the notices of abutting towns. Any board members have any questions or concerns upon the notices that we received?
No.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion, place them on file.
So moved.
Motion's made and second. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
We don't have any ZBA notices for tonight's consideration. I believe the ones that we had before were continued, and we've already acted on those. So moving along, any further general correspondences? I'll start with you, Aaron, before I turn over to any of the board members.
The only thing that jumps out at me off the top of my head is that Lowell General Hospital did submit a site plan review application on last Thursday, so they will be scheduled for public hearing on July 19th. So it's a big package. Other than that, I can't think of anything else that we expect to see. I don't have a lot of details for you as far as the reorganization that you probably already know. I expect, though, that we'll be taking a greater role in the administration of the ZBA sooner than later. So, perhaps starting in July to some level. I don't know fully, and then hopefully by the end of summer, early fall, we'll be pretty much up and running with the new kind of design review department. So.
Just to follow up on that, prior to our last meeting, I think it was prior to last meeting, I had a meeting with Adam Bakey, and he also had in the chairpersons from the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Conservation and Historic Board. And he met and he spoke with us what the proposed changes were before they're going to the council, and tried to inform us how they thought it would be much more informative to have everybody check in with one department. When someone comes in with a set of plans, instead of being sent to 3 different parts of the city, or sometimes some of the stuff that was sent out across the city to another part to have things checked off, will now all be in one house, and it will be in this building. What I've been informed was the department will be coming over to City Hall and not be over at the planning development anymore, but there will be one person who gets the plans, all submitted right there. They felt this was one of the recommendations they had on how to in-house tighten things up, check on the permit process, who oversees the permit process, how it gets started. They thought it'd be more informative to the people who apply as an applicant what they really have to do, and there's going to be people who have knowledge in both different boards and all the facilities come before them, so they're going to have to be spread out over more communication with everybody and overlap. So once in a while, you might see, as Aaron said, he could be at the Zoning Board of Appeals one night. We might have somebody from covering them, usually might be here in front of us one night to give us information what they were doing and try to put all the information together and give the applicant surely what they need ahead of time to inform them what they really need to come before the board and to lessen any questions they have. So I think Mr. Geary brought it up a lot of times. They come before the Zoning Board of Appeals, they're not exactly sure what they're there for, what they need, and they ask for continuances, and sometimes it gets a little frustrating, but this way they think all that information will be checked off, and the applicant will know all that and the procedure prior to coming before any of the public boards. Yeah. There's talk about how some changes might change down the road, whether any of the boards would join the other boards at a joint meeting, depending on what happened on that. Adam didn't want to get too far out on that, depending on first was approved by the council, and second, how it phases through and how it gets approved and whether we'd get to that step or not. But he said, sometimes it could be where our feelings should be heard to each other, or whether just the boards themselves could meet once in a great while amongst each other to share that type of common information. So even our knowledge has been more widespread about the process, permitting, and everything else. So it was very good, and as a result of that, all the chairpersons who were present, we indicated that we all voted in favor of the organization change, and indicated to him if he wanted to use that in his presentation, he could have the support of the boards that they gave us information. And then he was leaving after he spoke with us, to go meet with the city manager and speak with the neighborhood committee about the whole reorganization plan. So it was nice to get some of the information directly from the planning part, you know, from the person in charge, and get some information. And I thought it was very well informed to everybody. And the way the organization sounds, it sounds like it's really going to bring everybody into one-stop shopping per se for each applicant.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for improved customer service for developers and applicants coming in. It makes it a lot easier. You don't have to do the Civic Center two-step to get back and forth, figure out who you can talk to. I also think, as from the board's perspective and mine too, that it's going to help enforcement a little as well. And I think that's a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to see how that can be
I
improved.
think a lot of it indicated on how that enforcement is going to go, how soon they'd be able to look at it, how they're going to cross-check how to enforce that, whose responsibility it is, and the people who are accountable for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I thought some of that before was not always conveyed, or it fell through some of the crap sometime. As a lot of people know, you come before the board, you get approved with conditions, and if there's not the enforcing party out there looking over it, sometimes those things don't go forward. And it's disappointing for some people who feel projects can be built this way with these conditions, and it doesn't happen. Hopefully we'll have that accountability, and be more information to us.
So I think we'll be moving fairly quickly. I'll keep the board posted as either new staff is brought on or any new processes are being implemented. There may be some short-term pains. We'll try to make it as painless as possible.
Okay. Anybody else have any further correspondences for the board?
The only other question I'd ask, it came up again tonight, that statute we were looking to try and enact as far as if a board member is absent and, filling themselves in by looking at the tape of the meeting and being able to vote on it. I don't know, where that stands as far as being submitted to the council for approval. If you could look into that for us.
I will. We'll have something for you the next meeting, absolutely, on progress and what the next steps need to be taken for that.
Yeah, it's like, I think in a case like we had tonight, it's, I think we really got to give the applicant the opportunity to come back before the full board. It'd be hard pressed for myself to say that, no, I'm not going to give you continuance. Where if it's the lack of enough board members. If it was, the applicant didn't create the situation, it's hard to tell him, what, he picked the wrong night to come before us? It's, so I think, whether that, and that's why I tried to explain to him up front, give him the knowledge that this way we were, instead of let him start the public hearing, then, so that way if he wanted to proceed tonight, or if he didn't, but I can understand why he'd want more board members here to get more input.
Right, yeah. And that can slow it down, especially in their position too. They're already
Like I
constructed.
said, if he already has a site plan approved like they do, they can continue to move forward with what they have, and whether this is going to be a minor alteration, that he's requesting, then it wouldn't be a problem. If we say no, then he can still develop the site as it's been approved, so. Any other comments? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Good night, and thank you, everyone.
Right.